The land that would become the United States was first home to millions of Native Americans. They lived in diverse societies, from the Iroquois Confederacy in the Northeast to the Pueblo peoples in the Southwest. Their cultures were rich with traditions, trade networks, and systems of governance. In 1607, Jamestown, Virginia, became the first permanent English settlement. Life was harsh, and many settlers died of disease and hunger. Tobacco cultivation eventually sustained the colony. In 1620, the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, signing the Mayflower Compact, an early step toward self-government. By the 1700s, 13 colonies stretched along the Atlantic coast. Britain imposed taxes such as the Stamp Act and Tea Act, sparking anger. The Boston Tea Party in 1773 symbolized defiance against imperial control. In 1775, the first shots of the American Revolution rang out at Lexington and Concord. Farmers and townsmen faced the British Army. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence proclaimed that all men are created equal. With French support, the colonies won independence in 1783, and the Treaty of Paris recognized the United States as a new nation. The Articles of Confederation proved weak, so in 1787, delegates drafted the Constitution. It created checks and balances among the branches of government. The Bill of Rights guaranteed freedoms of speech, religion, and press. These documents became the foundation of American democracy. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the nation's size. Lewis and Clark mapped western lands, encountering native tribes and vast landscapes. Expansion came at a cost, as Native Americans were forced from their lands in events such as the Trail of Tears. The question of slavery grew more divisive. The North moved toward industry and free labor, while the South depended on enslaved people. In 1861, 11 Southern states seceded, and the Civil War began. The conflict was brutal, with battles like Gettysburg leaving deep scars. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring enslaved people in Confederate states free. The Union prevailed in 1865, and slavery was abolished. Reconstruction followed. Freedmen sought to build new lives, but faced violence and discrimination. Despite struggles, African Americans established schools, churches, and businesses. Meanwhile, the United States entered an age of industry. Railroads stretched across the continent. Cities grew rapidly, and immigrants arrived in waves. The Statue of Liberty, dedicated in 1886, became a symbol of hope. By the early 20th century, the United States had become a global power. It fought in World War I, helping to tip the balance toward victory. The 1920s brought prosperity and cultural change. But the Great Depression of the 1930s brought hardship. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal program sought to restore hope and rebuild the economy. The United States became the arsenal of democracy, supplying weapons and soldiers to defeat fascism. The war ended with both triumph and tragedy as the atomic bomb was used in Japan. After 1945, the United States entered the Cold War with the Soviet Union. It was a struggle of ideas, democracy versus communism. The space race, nuclear arms race, and proxy wars shaped decades of tension. At home, the civil rights movement challenged segregation and inequality. Leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. inspired millions with a vision of justice and equality. By the late 20th century, the United States had emerged as the world's leading superpower. The Cold War ended with the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. The nation entered a new era of globalization, technology, and cultural influence. The history of the United States is a tapestry of triumphs and struggles, from native traditions to immigrant dreams, from slavery's end to civil rights. The nation's story is one of resilience and change. Each generation adds its own chapter, carrying forward the legacy of those who came before.